Welcome to the SEO.co Search Engine Optimization Podcast. Digital marketing essentials and next level tactics. From offsite and on-site optimization to persuasive selling and everything in between. You'll learn actionable tips on what it takes to outright and outrank your competition. Now, here's your host, Timothy Carter.
Thanks for joining me on the podcast. Today we're going to talk about when SEO hosting is critical for search dominance. You know, the SEO landscape is constantly in a state of flux. Like the seasons, SEO strategies come and go. However, the SEO industry does have some constants, but there definitely is no shortage of gimmicks. Some companies will say just about anything to attract new customers. So after hearing about the usefulness of SEO hosting, many individuals want to know if it's true or if it's just one of the latest gimmicks to bring in revenue. Well, there are a few different ways to look at it. You know, unfortunately, the way that most SEO hosting companies portray the service makes it nothing more than a gimmick. However, it's very important to take a deeper look and see what is really going on. You know, there are plenty of regular web hosting companies out there. In fact, it's very likely that there are too many hosting companies, which could be why the vast majority of these companies fade away. You know, a lot of webmasters, have probably noticed how many new SEO hosts have sprouted up recently. You know, the sales pitch that these companies use entices webmasters because, it mentions ranking high in the search engines. You know, a typical sales pitch, from such a company, might also mention that SEO hosting is good for SEO. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what hosting company is used. A website can be ranked high in the SERPs or virtually on any type of web host. At its core, SEO is about optimizing content in a way that makes the content rank better in the major search engines. It's true that content needs to be relevant, and core SEO consists of optimizing new or existing content and making it relevant, to the search queries that you're trying to rank for. An SEO hosting company, website hosting company, can't control how many particular websites will rank in the search engines. And for this to even be possible, the company, actually would need to write the content for the website because that is what the search engines are using to rank a website. So when trying to sell their services to new customers, many SEO hosts add unrelevant tips to their service page. For example, companies talk about having unique content. They might even talk about getting links in a website. However, these tips aren't related to the service that the hosting company is selling, actually. While trying to attract those new customers, many SEO web hosts talk about a unique IP address. They say that it's crucial to put your website on a unique IP address, and this really is a generic statement, and it's used by countless SEO hosts out there. Put simply, the way that these web hosts try to sell their services to new customers is a bit shady. There is no doubt that a unique IP address is useful, but not in the way that the SEO web hosts advertise it to be. There's patterns there, so the major search engines use algorithms, obviously, and it's easy to think of these as robots. They're really just software programs that constantly crawl through the internet while indexing new pages and updating old ones. The algorithm, uses, it looks for distinct patterns, and it's these patterns that are used to decide where a website should rank in the search engine results. So, there is no doubt that, search engines look at IP address, a website is hosted on, the most well-known search engine of them all, actually got a patent for that technology that looks at the IP address of a website it's hosted on, which is why there is no doubt that a unique IP address can be useful. So while scouring the web and looking for patterns, search engines look for websites that may have malware, and they may also look at websites that are known for sending out or linking to spam type sites. Although it's quite rare, search engines have actually blocked entire IP blocks from their index because of the activity of the websites hosted on those IP blocks. Those blocks contain these shady websites. They're called bad neighborhoods. However, as mentioned earlier, the search engines rarely block an entire IP block, but it does happen. So, when is SEO hosting actually useful? Well, a webmaster can host his or her website on a regular web hosting service, and the potential to rank high in the major search engines is the same as it would be on an SEO web host. If a webmaster wants to host a single website and try to rank it in the search engines, a unique IP address is not really helpful. As long as the other websites on the same IP block are not engaging in shady activities, there really is nothing to worry about. And a website has every opportunity to get ranked highly by search engines. Since it's already been established that, the search engines do look at the IP addresses that a website is on, it's important to understand why. Currently Google's algorithms look at hundreds of different factors. When these algorithms are deciding where to rank a website, one of the factors that they take into consideration is how many links the website has pointing to it. However, those algorithms also check to see if the websites linking to the original site are on unique IP addresses. If a website has multiple links pointing at it from multiple websites that are on the same IP block, only the first link, really helps the website to rank higher in the search engines. Google doesn't give all other links as much weight as that first link from any given IP block. A lot of businesses have a network of websites which are all legitimate, and the business might wish to interlink all of the websites in their network because it can help each website to rank better. This is really the only way a unique IP address would be useful. Most SEO hosts are advertising to webmasters who plan on hosting a single website. And since these webmasters don't have a network of websites that they wish to interlink, there really is no point in paying that additional money for one or more unique IP addresses. And as we wrapped it up, there's another potential problem. A lot of webmasters, purchase domains that have expired, and they use these websites to boost the search engine rankings of other websites that they own. Google refers to this practice as a link scheme, and while it's quite obvious that link building networks produce results, they make that SEO work extremely risky. The fact that a web host actually calls itself an SEO host, it's a huge red flag. And, there is a lot of speculation as to whether or not those major search engines are automatically reducing the rankings of websites that are hosted on so-called SEO web hosts. If this is really happening, an unsuspecting webmaster, could be considered guilty by association. Even if he or she never had any plans on using a link scheme. And for this reason, it's probably better to go with a web host that doesn't advertise as being an SEO web host. So at the end of the day, it's quite safe to say that SEO hosting, is a gimmick, even for individuals who plan on setting up a link scheme. The risks of using an SEO host would seem, too great for that potential reward. And I think we're going to end this here. So I appreciate you listening on in. If you guys need some help with your website, doing some optimization, maybe even take a look at your IP hosting, come on over to SEO.co and schedule a time to have a free consultation. Learn how we can help you scale your ability to outwrite and outrank your competition.
Thank you for joining us on the SEO.co podcast. We appreciate your time. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the show, and visit SEO.co for more resources based on today's topic, as well as access to more podcast episodes to help you improve your site's long-term SEO success.